Welcome, everyone, to episode 268 of Just Joshing. I'm your host, Joshua Pantelaresco. I write stuff in podcast too. I kind of want to apologize. I was supposed to put this up last night. I actually legitimately fell asleep when I got home from the day job last night. I was out. So I'm going to apologize for this being a little late this week, but it definitely was worth it. Virginia Carraway Stark's still my guest. This is the conclusion and the last of my two-part conversations for a little while. Got some cool guests coming up afterwards. It's been a very, very productive few days. Actually, since last Sunday, things have kind of felt really good. Being thanked for doing stuff is always nice, and I got an unexpected thank you. Also, of interest, my podcast seems to be getting more hits in China. Now, I'm not sure why. I'm cool with it, but I mean, I'm really not sure. Like, I just started noticing about a week ago, a little blip here, a little bit there, and the way Podomatic works is the countries are actually liked by how they pronounce themselves. Like, Germany is not Germany, it's Deutschland, which is, if you go over there, that's how they view the country. So I see the language. I'm like, I'm not sure which dialect is this, and so I click on it, and it's China. It's like, holy crap, I'm in China. And it's been growing. So that's really, really freaking cool. And from that point on, I think we're just going to get to our conversation. But, more on this after. The following podcast is sponsored by author-editor Talina Winters. Talina has just released her book, The Undine's Tear, which is book 1 of the Rise of the Grigori trilogy. It is a young adult setting which has a very interesting take on mermaids and mermen, which are called Undines. You can find this book on Amazon, Kobo, and all available book platforms, or you can get more information on TalinaWinters.com or through her social media channels at Talina Winters. And by the Raven Podcast. The Raven Podcast is the brainchild of Jason Lavelle. Each episode, he actually narrates a story from an author, and then him and the author get together and they do an interview about the story. This is a perfect commute podcast on the way to work. They're short and very memorable. I really dig Jason's take on interviews and how he conducts himself in telling stories. He's an awesome narrator. He's a great guy, and this is a great podcast. Check it out at theravenpodcast.com or on any podcast app you are aware of. And by Adam Dries. Adam Dries' latest book is 5 Critical Things for Successful Book Signings. It is one of the best books you can read on how to conduct yourself at a book signing, book presentation, speech, you name it. Adam is a fantastic writer, but he's also a fantastic presenter, and this book is for any author trying to get as good as he is. Check out the book on any available platform, Amazon, Kobo, or brick and mortar bookstores as well.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's just it, right? Everybody. Like I said, if you really sit there and think about it, like, we're not alone. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. It's an illusion. And I mean, I'm glad you got pushed. I mean, you're a very good writer, and it just so happens the right person at the right place at the right time got you moving, right?
And up until then, all my stories, they just sat in a drawer.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even try to get them published. It just, I don't know, it didn't occur to me.
Yeah. So I mean, again, right place, right time, go for it, right? And that's pretty much it. You gotta do it when you're ready. I've had to learn how to be what's the term? Let people get ready. What I'm learning as I get older is patience with people, right? Because I used to get so frustrated when I was younger about something. It's like, why aren't you just going for it? Why aren't you just doing this thing? Now I'm like, nope, you'll do what you want. Good luck, rooting for you. Have a good one, and when you're ready, give me a shout. But younger, I mean, I'm learning this patience. It's not, I have my moments. But anyway, it sounds like you sound more tired than you were last time I chatted with you. You've been through an awful lot since we last chatted.
I have. That is true.
So how are you feeling?
A lot of things I just wish that I could be done with them. Like, just things have drug on way too long, and it's very tiring. So it would be really nice if life could move forward and I could close some doors behind me, because like it's just exhausting. Like I was run over almost 4 years ago now, and I'm still dealing with that.
That sucks.
It does. It really sucks. Like people are like, these sorts of cases, they should be done in 2 to 3 years max, and I'm like, I know, and that's the way things went. And like sometimes I just wish I had never even picked up the phone and like said like, hey, I got hit by a car, and just kind of gone off somewhere and licked my wounds in private, because that has been pretty traumatizing, all the stuff that came with that. And like, speaking of Facebook, like they would go through, the insurance company would go through my Facebook page, and they would say like, okay, she posted 5 times in this day, how can she possibly be feeling sick? I know, right? It's like, okay, if I'm sitting around posting on Facebook, I'm not out doing things, obviously I'm not feeling very well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the way I looked at it. And they're like, you're so optimistic, how can you possibly be injured? And it's like, because I got hit by a van, you idiots. Yes. Like, just because my personality is such that I am not going to let a van suck my life out and kill me, that's just the way things worked out. I mean, maybe if I hadn't jumped at that last minute, it would have killed me. But I shouldn't be punished for that. It's really unfair. So there's been a lot of like dealing with the unfairness of life in terms of those things.
Yes.
And dealing with the unfairness of people, because when I was run over, you know how you said with your teeth, you had a whole bunch of stuff come about that you realized. It was like that with the van for me. Like, I use the metaphor of it's like I was carrying a wardrobe of clothes with me, and it was all neatly folded and put away, but when the van hit me, it hit the wardrobe too, and so my clothes were scattered all over the road. And the clothes are my past. Yep. The clothes are my childhood. The clothes are like all the things that happened to me that I thought I had dealt with, but it turned out I hadn't.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense.
So
that makes sense.
I've spent 4 years essentially folding up laundry to carry on the metaphor.
No, it's what's the term? It's amazing. It's the best advice I ever heard. Actually, I gave this advice to Adam Dries, and it just came back to bite me when I went to fix my teeth, because I had to deal with I had to listen to my own advice. Right? It does happen, right? It's like, God damn it! I know.
I did say that.
Yeah, it's like, damn it! I just got to do it. But I told, like, because he was talking about his earrings way back in the day. Like, this was like our very first conversation and what they represented. And I told him, you don't need them. And he goes, no. I said, I understand why you got them. I'm not judging you. You really don't need them. You have all these other things that have come as a result of this. I don't know if you really need those anymore. And it was like, you don't need the reminders. So when I went to fix my teeth, it's like, this was a reminder of a time in my life. I don't need that reminder anymore. My scars, I don't have to carry with me. And I had to come to that conclusion. First 2 months, let me tell you, going through when I made that decision with that, it's a hard thing to wrestle with, but I did wrestle with it, and I finally came to that conclusion. And that's what's happening. I think what happened with you when you got hit, you were forced to re-examine some things. And probably a lot of it was a good thing. right?
Oh, definitely, and that's kind of the thing. Is like it boils down to if you're carrying around this much stuff, it's probably time to go through it and see if you actually need all those things, and if you should neatly fold them up again, or if you should just toss them in the garbage. But nevertheless, it was really hard to have these things, and like I said, I've always had like a real no regrets sort of outlook on life. So all the things that I went through in life, I tried to learn from them. This has made me a better person.
That's awesome.
And well, I mean, I try, and like my dad, who is one of the people who caused a lot of the trauma in my life, came and apologized to me once, and I said, don't apologize to me. I don't need your apology. I am who I am because of what I've been through in life. So I don't need your apology. Thank you for it, but I think there's other people that you'd be better off apologizing to.
Absolutely.
And it's after I said that, he acted like a total jerk again. So, I mean,
that does happen.
So it goes, right?
Yeah.
What?
So I was actually just nodding my head. It's like, yep, that's how it works.
Yeah. So, after the accident, I ended up cutting my dad out of my life because I realized a lot of stuff, and confronting him about the things he had done in life, and I had been keeping his secrets my whole life, and that was a huge burden, and I'm not done dealing with all of the fallout from that yet. So it's been quite the journey. Like, there's ICBC, the insurance company, and like with that, they do this thing where they just like miserable. You just wish it would stop, and I keep on being like, no, I'm not going to accept that. I will go to court. I will go for another 3 years if we need to do this, because I'm not going to cave into those bullying tactics. So, it's like, no. I want it to stop, but I'm going to keep on, because that's what survivors do, is they keep on.
Yep.
And it's a door that I really wish I could close, because not having to be, like, it would be a lot easier to heal if I didn't have to deal with that. But then I have all this other stuff that I didn't think I'd ever have to deal with. I really thought it was done. And, like, when I was hit by the van, I barely had any cell phone because my cell phone got smushed. So one of the people I called who was nearby was my dad. And it was the middle of the night. So he didn't pick up his phone. I left a message. I didn't hear from him for over a week. And then when he did talk to me, he said that he got into the car and he drove as far and fast as he could in the opposite direction because it scared him so much that I'd been in this accident.
Huh.
And I just, like, I couldn't believe it, because he'd raised me to always be strong, to always, be there for other people, to always do those things, and it was such a selfish thing to do.
Well, yeah, you were hurt, and you needed him there, and he wasn't there. That's and it goes back to something I said very earlier. People's actions tell you exactly what they want. Right? Yeah.
And after that, I started poking around a little bit more, and I was like, why is my family not including me more in things and stuff? And I realized that he'd been saying things about me behind my back because he knew that I knew all these secrets. And he was worried that at some point I would let the cat out of the bag. So he was essentially going around telling people I was crazy, don't listen to me. And that's why my whole family was kind of keeping me at arm's length.
Which is kind of sad, but I mean that's very Well, on the flip side, now he actually does have something to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, like, he really, really does. And, like, my last words to him were, "Fuck you, Daddy."
I'm sorry.
And that was it.
Yeah,
and I hung up the phone. I was like, I get it. I see everything now. You know, this is the same thing that he did with my mom. This is the same thing he did to all these people in his life, whom are dead now. I'm actually the only person he said is crazy who's still alive. So for the record, if I die, that's probably not fair play.
No, I got you. It's sounds like your dad's a piece of work, and that's all there is to it.
Oh my, yes.
Yes.
He is.
He's
He's a piece of work.
Yeah, that's all I can actually say. That's like, he's a piece of work. There's not much more that can be said or done. But
those are some of the reasons why I'm a little bit more tired than when I talked to you before, because it's been a sad, long journey, and it's been a journey where I've seen so many betrayals. Like, I was sharing the stuff, these secrets with one of my best friends. We've been friends since we were like 3 years old. And I found out she was using these things I told her as essentially commodity and gossiping about it and telling like everyone about it.
wow. Wow.
And when I confronted her, she said that she was doing me a favor because she was warning people.
Yeah, okay, sure.
And I was like, anyway, I'll talk to you later. And that was the last time I talked to her.
But, no, well, see, it's funny because, so, I fell, since we last talked, like really, really talked, I fell in love for the first time about 2 years ago. Right before I made the decision to fix the teeth. Met this girl came in my life, and I was crazy, I was foolish, it was all those things. But it was the first time you're in love, you are a little crazy the first time you're in love. So I told this one friend of mine, they always wanted me to talk about my love life, because I've dated, but it's nothing serious, so I don't really talk about it, right? And as a result, I always get this like, okay, you can tell me, you can trust me. So I did, and it kind of came to like this is a smaller. I didn't realize why this hurt me so much until years later. Me and her ran our course. It ran my course with her. It ran a course with her quicker than it did with me, for a couple reasons. But once I knew what was going on, I was fine. They thought I was very volatile, so when I came, there was an event gathering. They didn't invite me, and I didn't really find out about it until like the next day on a Facebook thing, and I felt so devastated. And
God, yeah.
Yeah, I felt so devastated, right? And then they apologized, but when we talked in person, it's like, I'm still really hurt. They got mad. It's like, well, I do it again. I don't think they fully realized what they said when they said that. Because that told me the apology wasn't genuine. That told me that, and again, it took me a long time to really figure this out. It told me that their word wasn't any good. They didn't mean the apology, and it also told me that, I shouldn't trust them. Well, if you can't trust them, you don't really have a friendship, do you?
No,
right.
You really don't.
Right. So I mean, it was a good lesson. It was a really, really good lesson. You have to be careful who you trust, because the people you trust are the people that can hurt you the most. Ironically enough, the flip side to that though is you need to trust people. It's the only way you can open yourself up to any really good possibilities, but you gotta risk getting burned, and that's something else I've had to learn. The hardest challenge I find is, again, the older I get, is staying open.
Yeah, and to constantly like. It's like you pull your chest wide open and your heart is sitting there, and you have to content yourself with the knowledge that because you're like that, people can run your heart through.
Yes.
Without any resistance from you. And then when they've done that, you don't have to let that person back in your life. Like, that would just be stupid. But you do have to open your chest up again, and go on in life with your heart still revealed, because the moment you start covering your heart up is the moment you lose you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Well, the moment you stop yourself from getting hurt, you're saying, "Oh, I don't want to get hurt anymore." And there's a point in your life you probably shouldn't let yourself be in a position to get hurt. But there again, it's like anything else. You can get too comfortable in that, and the moment you do that, you've just denied yourself the ability to enjoy life in every way possible. And I mean, now, like, I'm in this, like, that relationship with that girl has opened up this relationship that seems to be forthcoming. There's a girl I've been friends with for years, and just things have developed over the last little bit. And it's like, well, why not take a chance? I don't know if it's going to work out, but that's not why you do these things. You do these things because you want to find out, right? There's no sure things in this life. So you got, but you got to go for it.
Love and beauty are worth it.
Yeah.
They're worth the sacrifices. They're worth those, even giving people those second or third chances. And I'm a bit stupid about giving people extra chances.
Well, no.
Like,
I think that's dumb. I think that's actually wise. It's my opinion.
yeah. I mean, it's gotten me. It's gotten me really hurt. But it is who I am. I would like to always believe that people can come around. You know, I'd always liked rather than even distant with people.
Yeah.
And my heart's always going to be there. That's who I am. Like.
But I mean, but there's also, like, here's the thing too. People do change. I mean, it's not quick. It's not immediate. But like you know, imagine someone you knew 10 years ago. You met them today. Would they be the same person? No, they wouldn't be. They might still be that person, but they'll have more layers to them. Hopefully, dear God, hopefully, more layers to them. They've been through more. Life has seasoned them a little bit more. They won't look at things quite the same way, and you're no different. You've gone through your own stuff. You're not going to look at life like what do you look like even 5 years from now. How you're going to look at life compared to even today, it's going to be very different, and it should be. Life constantly evolves, and so do you, right? So giving a second chance, like 10 years down the road, right? It might just be that you know, I'm in a different place, they're in a different place, that person, and we might be able to be friends again, or maybe even sooner than that, who knows. But I just look at it kind of like, I look at it kind of like that is how I perceive, like, second chances are good. Now, if they do the same thing twice, that's it. I always, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I'm not going to be fooled the third time. So, and that's pretty much how I treat people. Because again, I'm nowhere like near close to who I was 10 years ago. There's still vestiges of me from 5 years ago that are still here, but it's not the same. And there's going to be vestiges of me, like, even I'm hoping 5 years from now, I'm not going to see things differently. I might be married and have kids. I might be a millionaire. I might be in another part of the world altogether. I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, right? So I do give second chances because, again, it's not, again, going back to something I just said, the hardest thing in life is to keep open, right? And it's really hard, but you have to, because you never know what will come through that door sometimes, right? And it might be something completely different than, even if it's the same person, they might be a completely different person. Their own actions will betray them, though. I don't just, where I've become a little more jaded is I don't just listen to words anymore. I observe you. What are you actually doing? And do you really care? And you will give it away. Everybody does.
Yeah, I I don't know that I really measure people like that. I tend to I tend to be really, really open and receptive. Like when my stepmother died of alcoholism, and she was in the hospital. My stepmother was an awful person. Like she abused me. She abused my half sister. Like she was absolutely out of control. One of the most unhappy people ever. Like wicked stepmother from a fairy tale book.
Yeah. Actually, even the fairy tale book's looking at you going, hey, man, chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had written me a card asking for forgiveness, and I forgave her. And my dad said to me about 2 months later, he said, what are you doing with her? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, what are you doing to Judy? And I said, I'm not doing anything to her. And he said, well, when you said that you accepted her forgiveness, or her apology and gave her your forgiveness, like, what sort of game were you playing at? Yeah, you know, right?
Oh my God.
I said I wasn't playing at any game. I forgave her. And he said, you seriously forgave her?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I seriously forgave her. And he said that she had been so upset trying to figure out what angle I was working that she had gone on like drunken binges after drunken binge since I had forgiven her.
Oh, you did. See, I truly believe this. I do. Nothing kills like kindness. Like kindness really does kill.
It does.
Yeah, because it's gentle. But surprisingly strong. Because it's like, if it's real and if it's genuine, right? Then there's no angle. There really is no angle.
No, and like at that point, I had worked through all the stuff, and I had taken into account the stuff that she had legitimately been good to me in life and taught me about and stuff like that, and I meant it. I was perfectly at peace with things, and I was so shocked that she had that reaction. And
that's hilarious.
Later on, when she was in the hospital and she was very sick, and I told her, I was like pretty much carrying her outside because she wanted a cigarette, and she started to cry, and she said, why are you so kind to me? And I said, because why wouldn't I be? Like, why shouldn't I be? And she said, I did things to you that I would never forgive if anyone did to me. No one can forgive what I did to you. It was too awful. Why are you torturing me? And I told her, I said, I'm not torturing you. All I want from you is for you to try to stop this. And I was like, however I feel about things, you love my dad, and the two of you could have a beautiful love together. Just change. Just stop this. Just be nice. And she said, I can't. The things I've done, I can't. And she ended up dying in a snowbank from alcohol.
Yeah, that's someone who had a really hard time dealing with your stuff, and you did the one thing to her that honestly, because what you've done is you took away all your pain. The moment you forget, like the beautiful thing about forgiveness is, you forgive somebody, it's no longer you're not suffering anymore. Because you're letting go.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. They have to live with what they've done, and
they're a victim.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They have to live with what they've done.
I said, yeah.
And as a result, they have to make peace with that, and they have to find a way to make peace with what they did over that time. And it sounds to me like she couldn't do that.
No, she really, really couldn't. I mean, and I think it is a thing with many people who abuse substances, is that they have something that they need to forgive in themselves.
Absolutely.
Whatever that is. And, I mean, I've never been someone who relied on substances, so this is just what I've observed. But I really do think, you know, it goes back to the original thing that you brought into the conversation about shame and guilt. It's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd add jealousy to that.
Jealousy is definitely a chain in its own right. I don't feel... You can't use jealousy quite the same way you use guilt and fear. But you can... It definitely can wreck relationships. My mom struggles with jealousy. It's one of her big struggles in life. If you get an opportunity that she never did, she gets really, 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 really upset with that. Right? And that again and sometimes it's not about certain opportunities go certain ways. Like I'll give you an example. She was really upset that my sister got the chance to go to Germany with my grandmother. I didn't get that chance, but I was totally okay with it too. It wasn't something I felt that this was good for my sister. It was good for my grandmother. They got to see some things, do some things, and it was for them. It wasn't for me. I got marzipan. I was happy. That's it, right? I mean, it's not right. It's not my opportunity, right? It's why I'm not jealous of anyone that's successful. It's not my success, right?
No, and it's not your pain either.
Exactly.
People who are successful, they have... I mean, everybody does. But you can't just look at someone and say, like, oh, they're famous. I wish I had their life. Like, no way.
Yes, exactly. That's not how it works. It just does not work like that. It works. You have to understand, like, nobody, like, people don't people do not find. Ooh, dang it! I screwed up. I missed an appointment. So.
Sorry.
No, my fault. I've had so much on the go. I knew I was missing something, and now I owe someone an apology. So I'm going to go and fix that when this is over. But no, like here the thing about life and everything else is we all have these we all walk our own path, and no one gets the exact same amount of success or fame or amount of people that love you, but it's not a competition either, and no one owes you anything. So I mean, the way I always dealt with jealousy to me was, there's nothing to be jealous of. I'm not walking that path. I'm walking my own path. I'm happy for anyone to get any success in this life because Lord knows it's hard. It's really, 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 really hard. And that is, what's the term? You don't have the luxury, I think, to be jealous of somebody, right? I like I said, it's gonna be interesting because I'm gonna have to learn how to balance things out with the girl I'm about to date. She's incredibly pretty, and I know she's gonna get hit on a lot, and I'm gonna have to make my peace with that to some degree. I mean, there's comments. I mean, she's with me, but that's always gonna have to be in my head probably at first because I get jealous of the time, and I have to make sure I again, it's not just my time. It's her time, and I have to be very, 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 very conscious of that. So I don't, because again, if I let jealousy get in the way, and we're talking all kinds of different jealousies here, no matter what, the standard results is this. If I let my jealousies get in the way, I ruin a possibly great thing. Because honestly, I shouldn't worry about what I don't have. I should worry about what I actually do.
Yeah, and I mean that sort of situation is, it's difficult. Like, I have a hard time really commenting on that because I've been in the position of how much time do I spend on other people? How much time do I spend with my family? You know, like, if I'm sitting online talking to 20 different guys instead of having dinner with my husband, like, that's unfair to him.
Yes.
And that's all there is to it. And, you know, there comes a point where for a girl, there is a lot of attention paid to you, which is unfortunately just because you're a pretty girl. And it's not fair. A lot of things aren't, but it's true. And so trying to balance that, I think, a bit the girl's responsibility, and I'm pretty sure people would get really upset with me for saying that. But I mean, there is really a point where you have to say these people are not really in my life, and you know, I really do owe my time to the people I want to be with. So I'm kind of coming at it from the other end of things, where, you know, I kind of, like, I could be a real dick to my husband, you know?
Well, yeah, you totally could, but it's about respect too, right? It's about respect ultimately both ways. I gotta respect. I gotta respect the fact that she's a pretty woman, and yeah, unfair or not, she's going to get attention, even if I'm with her. Sometimes because I'm with her, right? Flip side, you know, the flip side is I have to respect that. I have to respect also the fact that she's her own person and she's going to make her own choices. And flip side, she's going to realize too that at some point that her time, this is our time, and however long it is, and this isn't like her daughter, who is a bigger priority in her life than I am, and that's the way it should be, right? Beyond that, though, it's about you know, it's about figuring out the balance. Like, it's gonna happen. She's gonna get hit on. She's gonna respond because that's just life. But it's how long you dwell on that, right? It's how long you dwell on that, and that's the thing, right? It's respect both ways. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you that you're going to be able to handle yourself. In return, you know, you're going to trust me that I'm going to help be there for you if you need to. That's it. That's how it works. I think we'll figure this out. I don't know. I may not know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, I think, you know, more or less that's the way it is. But like you know, anytime in the modern world where there's always someone wanting your attention, you do have to come to a point where you're at peace with not answering every time the phone dings. You know, every time Facebook or Messenger goes off, if you're responding to it, it's not cool. Like, it's and you don't have to be a pretty girl for that to happen. Like,
no.
You see it all the time, even in commercials. There's a couple in bed and they're facing different directions looking at their cell phones. You know, like, it's a hard one, that intimacy, and I think that intimacy is more important than any amount of social media for any reason. Which, again,
yeah,
the reason why I back away from Facebook so much and stuff.
And that's and you know what, and we all have to find our own answers to that. Like, I again, looking at where I'm at, no, like, I like, this was the deal I made with her. Like, because I again, figuring out girl in my life, like, okay, I have to get some work done somehow. All right. And so the deal I made with her is like, okay, like starting like today, we have a curfew. Then that's as for long as we're gonna go. Whenever we chat. At the end of that, though, I'm working, and I'm going to be doing my thing in the time I have, and we're gonna repeat. But when I am with her, the days I'm with her and days she's with me, the phone's off. There's no one else I'm talking to, barring a family emergency, and that's fair, right? Both ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But that's it. That's my life. She's gonna be in it, and that's the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome because, like, if you guys can both turn off your cell phones, that is so valuable. Like, in this world, that is so valuable because there's always going to be something you should be doing online. At least for me. Like,
Yes.
If I actually spent as much time online as my duties said I should, I would be online all the time. Like, I would probably never get any sleep.
Fair enough. I'm like I said, I'm learning balance. Like I said, now I'm trying to relearn my balance, which is again not a bad thing. I'm just like, okay, I gotta be an adult about this. It's not anybody's fault. It's mine. I have to be an adult. Wouldn't this adulting stuff would be so hard?
Adulting sucks.
Yes, it does.
I'm not very good at adulting at all. Like, I don't adult well. And in a way, being on social media is very adult. If you're not, like, sitting there picking fights. But there's a lot of, like, for me, I end up doing a lot of mentoring and stuff like that, and, like, just encouragement. Yeah. And when I took, like, I don't know, it was like 6 months or a year that I just didn't go online.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I found all these people, and they said that they hadn't written the entire time I was offline.
I that's not on you though. That's on them. I mean,
well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is when I'm around, even if I'm not like kicking them in the butt, it's just they say that they find me inspirational, and I inspire them to write.
That's cool.
And it's like that's really a cool gift to have to inspire people. It's really awesome, but you know, it has to be balanced with my own boundaries and things. But yeah, I was really surprised when I came back and I talked to some people, and you know, I had kind of mentored them into the world of writing. But they were like, yeah, I haven't written on my novel. I haven't written anything else. I had some ideas, but I just haven't been motivated. Now that I've talked to you, though, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And it's just like I didn't say go do it. I didn't say anything.
No.
I just listened. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird world.
Unbelievably. All that's unbelievable. Well, this is not, like I said, not quite the talk I expected, but definitely a fun one. It was nice to hear from you.
Yeah, you kind of caught me on a really somber day, too, because it's the long weekend, so there was a lot of stuff that happened that was kind of tiring and stuff. And so it definitely was, like, my headspace was in a very somber, introspective place. So we should do this someday when I haven't had a long weekend.
Well, no, we can do another chat down the road. This was still pretty good. So what's coming up for you?
I have a lot coming up. I have, it's called, I believe it's called Shards of the Maze. I didn't come up with a title, but it's a novel that's being brought out by New Moon Press. And then I have the Drabbles coming out, and that's from Black Hair Press. And I have the fourth book in my daughter series, which is the Dalton's Daughter one that started it, and that one's coming out soon, and that one's from Starklight Press. And there's 2 more anthologies from Starklight Press coming out as well. the daughter series was kind of funny because the protagonist, the one I mentioned to you when we were talking privately, and she's the one everyone always identifies with me.
Ah.
And it was so funny because when I wrote her, I did not have myself in mind. Like, she's a dark-haired girl who's very quiet, who's very, very much someone who's like a complete peacemaker, and someone who tends to not say the things that she's thinking, whereas I tend to say those things. And who read the book was like, Sasha is you, isn't she? I was like, no, not at all. So by the time I got through to like the third book, I was like, Sasha isn't me, but she's a lot like a very young version of me in a way. And people are so into this. I'm going to accept this. Yeah. So what I did was I ended up having myself put on the cover as Sasha.
Aww.
And she's in the military, the space military, because it's science fiction.
Yes.
And my face has been morphed into a picture that goes on with each of these special release edition ones. So it's a special box set, and that was a very kind of pinnacle moment for me to accept the fact that I'm not Sasha, but enough people think I'm like her that I will accept this.
But that's cool that people can that you're relatable to a character you really, 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 really like, right? And that's cool. That's really, really cool.
And it's really funny because she's very much in love, and she fell in love with a kind of millionaire playboy who is a bit older than her. And she saw his face on everything because he had like Rot Industries. His last name is Rot, W-R, not like rotten.
Yeah.
And he was in all the newspapers and stuff like that, and she fell in love with him. And she never met him until she ended up joining the military, and in book 3, she ends up meeting him. And they have this love story, and it's kind of like a rags to riches thing because she comes from this poor, impoverished planet that's just being mined for resources. And he's this multi-billionaire cool guy, that she grew up looking up to. And it's so funny because everyone related it to my relationship with Tony.
Yes. Huh.
Yeah, I know, and it's like, I don't know how they did that, but everybody thinks that Verily Rot, who's her love interest, who is a tall redhead with freckles, and of course Tony is neither tall nor red-haired nor has freckles, nor is a multi-billionaire that he's let me know about yet anyway.
But he might be just saving it for when you retire. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, I think probably. I think that's the sort of thing you keep under your vest for a while because you really want to make sure
that she's the one.
That they're with you for love and not for your billions, your space billions.
That's right. That's right.
But they have a very pure love, and they have a very true love, and they end up like. It is a love story that I put a lot of heart into, and Tony writes on this series of books as well, not the daughter series, but the entire universe. And Verily is his character. Like, he writes books from Verily's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so the fact that people identified this love story so much with the two of us was very touching to me. So, yeah, I'm happy to have that be accepted as that's me, and if they want, that can be Tony. So.
That's right. So, Anthony, when you come back on the podcast, I'm going to talk about your billions, just so you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, there's the name, and there's the obvious implication from the writing. So, the billions... definitely being hidden. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
But we like to live a simple life, you know.
Well, it's the best way to hide your billions, see?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Right. That's awesome. How can people find you when you do occasionally decide to go on social media?
You can go to virginiastark.wordpress.com, or you can just put in Virginia Carraway Stark on Facebook or Google, and you will find oodles and oodles and oodles of pictures and things and books and all sorts of stuff. So far, all the stuff I found is positive, so that's cool.
That's awesome.
And, yeah. And I'm also on Twitter occasionally at Tweets by VC.
Nice. All right. And that was my conversation with Virginia Stark. It was great to hear from Virginia again. We've talked afterwards since the first part of the podcast episode. Don't be too surprised if she's on the show in the not too far distant future. A couple of the housekeeping bits. I definitely encourage you guys to check out the Raven podcast. It's like I said, a really, really cool show. I gotta actually catch up. He has his first live show with Miranda O up, which is really, really cool. I love this conversation with Susie, but his current episode, which was released yesterday, features JD Estrada. So definitely check out the Raven podcast while you can. And I still have my contest giving away. This is the last week for Adam. My last copy of 5 Critical Things is up for grabs, as is another copy of The Indian's Tear by Talina Winters. I really am enjoying the story, and I think you will too. And definitely should enter the giveaway link at the bottom of the episode. Just put your email in, guys. It's all you got to do, and I will draw a winner for Monday's episode. I might actually announce it on Facebook on Tuesday, just basically because I took an extra day on this. But yeah, giveaways are still on. This is your last chance to get Andres' 5 Critical Things. But if you don't get it this way, I do encourage you to go check it out on anywhere books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, The Chapters, Indigo. You can find it. It's a great book, and you should definitely check it out. And anything else I can talk about right now? Right now, no. I'm going to be probably in the middle of novels. So next week's podcasts are probably going to be really short in terms of intros and conclusions. I'm going to be just in pure novel writing mode next week. But beyond all that, guys, thanks for listening. That will do it for this episode, Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so a number of different ways. You can support my sponsors, first and foremost. To talk about the Raven Podcast, check out theravenpodcast.com to get the episodes there. Also, check out Adam Dries' 5 Critical Things. His most recent book is an excellent book for any author developing a reader's persona, how to actually project yourself into bookstores, do book signings, all that stuff. Adam goes into share some great stories. And also you got Talina Winters, writer, editor. Her current book releases The Indian's Tear. It's a fantastic book, young adult book. Great take on mermaids and mermen that has never been done before. You should definitely check it out. There's also subscribing to my podcast, Podmac, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. I am on all those channels. You should definitely check me out. I am also, YouTube is Joshua Penteloresco. Twitter, Instagram, it's at jpenteloresco. My books, Watch Your Storm, Answer Wonder God, CurseOfMirrorWorldPublishing.com. I think that's everything. So, thanks for listening. Stay inspired. Do your thing. And I will see you guys next week at the proper time. I promise.
Josh.